What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. What I want to do is show you a program. This is a record program. And on the cover you have here, light heavyweight champion Gus Lesnovich. Now the reason why I'm showing you this is because I want you to get an idea of what boxing was like in the 40s, in the 50s. And I'm not even talking about the 1920s, 1930s. We're talking about the 1940s. So it's called the Ringside Boxing Record Monthly. This is number 2. All right, so I'm showing you the first page here, right behind the cover. All right, these are the list of managers on the entire front cover page. All the managers and all their fighters. Here you're looking at Customato. He had Gravity's Gym on 14th Street. I used to go to that gym all the time to watch the fighters. And a lot of the members were from Stillman's Gym, as you can see here. As you can see here, F. Patterson, that's Floyd Patterson, he weighed 160 pounds. Now, a lot of these fighters, I know their records, I know who they are. But I'm not going to go through them because you're not going to be as familiar right now, and I'm trying to just show you a couple things. I did an extensive study on club fighters for about 5 years. So a lot of these names I'm totally aware of, but I'm not going to go into detail of them, just the ones that you may be familiar with. Even the managers. As here you can see George Gangsford, all right? Sedgwick Avenue and Tremont Avenue, Bronx, New York. And his biggest star, as you can see here, was Sugar Ray Robinson. He was a welterweight champion at this time because this program is from 1949, and Ray Robinson became the champion in 1946. And these are some of the fighters that George Gangsford had managed. Bobby Gleason was on 149th Street and 3rd Avenue. And let me clear this for you. Former world champion, we have Phil Terranova. He was in a ring with Willie Pep and many others. Phil Terranova was a very good fighter. In Gleason's gym, you had a lot of good fighters. Carlos Ortiz and many of them. Irvin Cohen, he was a manager. And he managed out of Stillman's Gym on Broadway and 8th Avenue. Irvin Cohen, Rocky Graziano was a champion. And Irvin Cohen was his manager. You have Billy Graham, another very good fighter. He was a champion for about 5 minutes when he took on Joey Giardello. Very interesting story, how the title was reversed. Ralph Como, Stillman's Gym. These are some of the fighters that he managed. Jack Curley, another manager from Stillman's Gym. You can see 8th Avenue. I'm trying to clear this for you. And these are some of the fighters that he had. So I'm just giving you somewhat of a breakdown on some of the managers. Charlie Johnston, he was a manager for Sandy Sadler. As you can see here, Sandy Sadler was currently the featherweight champion of the world. You also see Archie Moore's name there. In 49, Archie Moore was managed by Charlie Johnston before he wound up becoming managed by Jack Hearns. Jack Hearns was the manager for Joey Maxim. And so in 1942, he took over Archie Moore. That was the agreement in the contract in order to get that fight. And so Jack Hearns was the manager for both Joey Maxim and Archie Moore at the exact same time. And it's just the content, as you can see here, February and March fights results. May and June issue, 1949. Now let's look at some of the fights that took place. Also, let's take a look at some of the fights that took place. Now this was the ranking system ending March 31st, 1949. as I'm turning the pages here, Joe Louis was the champion. Ezzard Charles was now going to become the NBA heavyweight champion because Joe Louis has elected Ezzard Charles and Joe Walcott to fight for his crown. And Ezzard Charles had defeated Walcott, so he then became the NBA heavyweight champion. Here's the issue. Lee Savoy, as you can see here, Paterson, New Jersey. Ezzard Charles was not recognized universally as the heavyweight champion. British Boxing Board of Control, Ring, and many others didn't see Ezzard Charles as being a champion because Lee Savoy should have gotten a shot. What am I talking about? When Jersey Joe Walcott faced Joe Louis in 1947, it was very controversial. They gave Joe Louis the decision. Many thought Jersey Joe Walcott deserved the title. So Joe Louis gave Jersey Joe Walcott a shot over Lee Savoy. So when Joe Louis finally defeated Jersey Joe Walcott, he knocked him out in the 10th round. That's when he decided to relinquish the title. So he elected actually Ezzard Charles and Jersey Joe Walcott and not Lee Savoy. So when Ezzard Charles became the champion, he wasn't recognized by some of the sanctioning bodies as the full world titleist because Lee Savoy didn't get the shot. So Joe Louis had defeated Lee Savoy and was at that point when he recognized Ezzard Charles as the champion because Ezzard Charles had defeated Joe Louis in 1950 in Yankee Stadium. So I hope I'm not confusing you here. The light heavyweight champion, you have Freddie Mills. He was the champion, Gus Lesnovich, out of Cliffside Park, New Jersey. I met all of these guys here, including Archie Moore, Joey Maxim, Charlie Doc Williams, every last one of these guys. Davy Sands unfortunately died. He was 5 total brothers. He had 4 brothers. And the truck overturned. They had a business. And their truck overturned into a ditch, and Davy Sands was pinned under the truck, and he died. He was the European and the Australian light heavyweight champion. Here you have Artie Levine from Brooklyn, New York. He was something else. I met him. You got Oakland Billy Smith over here, Medford, Massachusetts. But Artie Levine was a very strong puncher. Ray Robinson, who was knocked clearly out of the ring for a 19 count. They believed it was 21 seconds. And Artie Levine felt he should have been the champion. And unfortunately, actually, it wasn't a title shot. It was, they were trying to somewhat unify a position to become ranked for that title opportunity as it presented itself because Marty Servo had relinquished the title. And that's when Ray Robinson would face Ohio's own, Youngstown, Ohio's own. And his name Tommy Bell. You hear Marcel Sedan. Trying to focus this here. Ray Robinson was ranked number 1. Marcel Sedan was the champion. Bert Littell. He was a very good fighter out of Stillman's gym. He was part of Black Murderers Row. He began his boxing career in 1944. Here you have Rocky Graziano and Steve Beloy. Steve Beloy was another very good fighter. He had a brother by the name of Mike Beloy. Mike Beloy was known as the Bronx Spider. And he was a champion as well. Robert Villemain. Robert Villemain would wind up fighting Ray Robinson for the vacant Pennsylvania middleweight championship. Artie Torres and Jose Basura are very good fighters, these men are. All right, let's look at some of the fights. Now, if you turn the page here, from February 1st to February 28th, inclusive, from March 1st to March 31st, 1949. Now listen to this. Over 4,000 coast-to-coast results of fights which took place from February and March of 1949. And this is really what I wanted to show you. As you scroll down here, all of these fights took place in the month of February. Every last one of these fights. I'm trying to focus here. Just to show you what it was like during those days. Trying to give you a full page, and then I'll see if we can recognize some names. I recognize a lot of these names, but then again, you may not recognize some of the names. So I'm just going to scroll until there's a recognizable name that I can show you. Dave Andrews, very good fighter. Leroy Andrews, another decent fighter. Now, a lot of these men are club fighters. They were on some really good undercards. Charlie Banks, another good fighter. All right, let's go to the next page here. This is all February of 1949. Now, as I turn the page here, all of this is February. Every last one of these fights. Let's take a look. February 1st. And they're all over. So they're going to be in different arenas, different states across the country. Here you have Carmen Basilio, February 17th of 49. Weighed 142 pounds. He won in 4 rounds over Luke Jordan in Rochester. Okay. Johnny Bassett. Percy Bassett. He's out of Philadelphia. He fought twice, February 10th and the 28th. Weighed 128 pounds. Archie Wilmore and Lou Jenkins. Those are 2 opponents he faced. Lou Jenkins, as you know, was a lightweight champion when he defeated. In fact, he knocked out Lou Ambers in 3 rounds, and that was a shock to many. Willie Beam was a very good, he wound up becoming a heavyweight. As you can see here, he is a welterweight. Like I said, these are all club fighters at this point. Sal Belois. You have Steve Belois. Like I said, he's the brother of Mike Belois. So I'm just going down the list here. These are all February fights. Every single day of the week, you had boxing. In all the arenas. Sunnyside Garden. They had a lot of fights. Broadway Arena. You had Eastern Parkway Arena. Gene Buffalo. He lost by knockout in the first round to Sugar Ray Robinson, as you can see here. February 10th of that year. Two good fighters here. Roland Estraza, New York. Remember his 2 fights. Rocky Marciano. Bobby Burgess, another good one. Jack Berkey, another good fighter. Irish Joe Burns. Gene Burton. Now, Gene Burton, as you can see here, he lost 8 rounds to Patty DeMarco. And he also lost to Charlie Williams. Now, Gene Burton was Rocky Graziano's 20th consecutive win, and that's what he got him the shot to face the great Sugar Ray Robinson in 1952. Don Sugar Kane, another good fighter. So I'm just going down the line here. I just want to show you how many fighters and how many fights they had during those years. This is all February. I'm not even halfway. I got about 20 more pages worth of February fights to show you. I just turned the page. Let's see if we can clarify this. This might not be of interest to you, but if you're a boxing guru like me, this would be fascinating. It's fascinating to me all these years later. And I would study all of these programs that I have. I have hundreds of these record books. And I would just go through these individually. Then I'll look up the records of the fighters. Look up their stats. This is way before the internet was even existing. And I had to go to the library and get the books. And I would look at the Ring Magazine record books. Ring Magazine ranking system in the magazines itself. But I'm just scrolling around here. I know it's a lot. Andy Kid Depaul. He was a decent fighter for sure. Gene Paul, another one. See all these guys, but I don't want to. You may not know who a lot of these guys are, so I'm just skimming through. Now here's Bernard Dukason. Bernard Dukason, he had a brother by the name of Maxie Dukinson. You can see he fought here twice, February 4th and February 5th. He lost in a technical 6-round knockout to Freddie Dawson. Freddie Dawson was a hell of a fighter. Met him. And he lost again in a 6-round technical knockout to Freddie Dawson once again, both in Chicago. Here's Maxie Dukinson, that's his brother. Weighed 136 pounds. He defeated in 10 rounds by knockout Swingler Cero, and I remember him. KO Swingler, very good fighter. And I turned the page again. Now there's about, 20 plus more pages to go. 40 total, because, from one page to the next page is 20, but then front and back will make it 40 pages. All on February of 1949. Dave Gallardo, he was another good fighter. Davey Gallardo. Yeah, he was something else. Remember Chico Vijar? He had a fight with a fighter by the name of Jed Black on the same card as Gallardo. Very good fighters. David Gallardo fought a lot on the West Coast. Man, I ain't see these names in a long time. I just took this book out. Bobby Green. Now, Bobby Green was from Philadelphia. He was a hell of a fighter. I met him. He had mastered the shoulder roll. He could really do the shoulder roll. He weighed 132 pounds. He lost in a technical knockout in 4 rounds to Jimmy Lapre, Holyoke, Connecticut. Davey Green, another good fighter. But yeah, some outstanding club fighters here. Eugene Hairston. Before Eddie Edwards. Won by technical knockout in 6 rounds. He couldn't hear and he couldn't speak. And this is where they got the idea for the red blinking lights in New York's Madison Square Garden, because he couldn't hear. And they had to accommodate fighters who were like that. Sonny Hampton. Wow. I hadn't seen these names in so many years because I hadn't, been looking at these books here. I got to get back into some of these guys. But I have done an extensive study on club fighters for about 5 years. Henry Hall, he had a draw 10 rounds with Burt Littell. As I said, Burt Littell was a black murderous old fighter. Tony Gennaro. Henry Hall, 148 pounds, defeated Tony Gennaro in 10 rounds. Fought him in London, England. Charlie Doc Williams, New Orleans, for Henry Hall, 10-round draw. Very interesting. So I just wanted to give you somewhat of an idea of all the fights that took place in the 40s. And that's why I tell you all of the time, and I mean no disrespect, but it's absolutely a fact. A lot of the fighters you see around today, a lot of them, the big names, guys who were champions, would have been 6-round fighters back then, because they would have had to get past all of these guys. And a lot of these guys are outstanding fighters, and there were so many arenas that they can fight in, they had to fight in. Eastern Parkway. Before you can even make it to Madison Square Garden, you had to go through a lot of those arenas. Tommy Stenhouse, another good fighter. He fought a lot on the West Coast. Freddie Hayes. Oh my God, look at Ezra Charles. Ezra Charles, Philadelphia. Johnny Hayes lost 8-round knockout to Ezra Charles. me show you one more page here. Corky Gonzalez, another good fighter, good Mexican fighter. It was Corky Gonzalez. All right, I just turned the page. I just want to show you this last page. Maybe I'll show you one more after this one to see if we can recognize. I recognize most of these guys, but I want to get some. Black Jack, I remember him. Yeah, my dad told me a lot about him. Donald Jackson, yes. Yep, Bobby James. Lou Jenkins lost in a 10-round decision to Percy Bassett out of Philadelphia. Al Johnson, another good one. Now here's Harold Johnson. He wound up becoming the light heavyweight champion when Archie Moore was stripped of his title. He fought Arturo Godoy. Arturo Godoy fought Joe Louis twice. There was a controversy in the first fight. Claimed he was hit after the bell. And here you have Lee Johnson. Another very good fighter he was. It's a shame they're not more noticeable. Ben Jones. Bobby Jones. Wow, all these good fighters here. Bobby Jones was a middleweight. Howard Jones. Phenomenal fighters they are. And what I love about these books, they're all in order. So the dates are not exactly in order, but the fighters' names are. So if you're looking for the results of a specific fighter, you just go in order. I have the entire collection of these books every year. And it's always a pleasure going through them. I just hadn't gone through them in a little bit. All right, so I don't want to bore you. This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. This is what I do for fun. Been doing this for going on 8 years now. And I've enjoyed every moment of it. I got the chance to meet a lot of these fighters over the years, in dinners and meetings and so on and so forth. Bobby Lee. Charlie Lee. Wow. All these names are coming back to me. Artie Levine, once again. Fought Chuck Hunter, another good fighter. It's Chuck Hunter. I got to show you one more. I'll show you one more. I decided to skip. I skipped like 10 pages. I still got like another 8 pages to go. I just wanted to try and find some more names that might be familiar to you. Tommy Uroth. Wow. Now look at this here. Sugar Ray Robinson, Bar and Grill. 2074 7th Avenue in New York. Sugar Ray's Barbershop. 2078 7th Avenue in New York. Ray had that entire block sewed up. Sugar Ray's Cleaning and Drying Store. 2072 7th Avenue in New York. Once again, Scrapbook Boxing, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't bore you. But this is what I do for fun on my spare time. And it's always a pleasure. I used to do this with my dad all of the time. And I got familiar with a lot of these fighters, a lot of the names, as I do research. Sammy Engard, 147, won a technical knockout. O'Brien Clarksburg, Teddy Davis. His name was the Red Top, Teddy Red Top Davis, as you can see here. He lost in 8 rounds to Joey Angelo. Wow, I remember every last one of these guys. Amazing. Art Aragon. He was the original Golden Boy, 136 pounds. Defeated technical knockout in 1 round. So, That's why I tell you, here's Virgil Akins. Oh my God, amazing. Had a pleasure meeting a lot of these names that I'm talking. Ray Augustus, another one. Alvin Williams. Joe Baskey. Tommy Baker. This is all night. Now we're in March, so February and March is what we're looking at. So that's why when I tell you a lot of the fighters, and I repeat it because it is what it is. When you have guys, Triple G, Charlo, a lot of these guys, they wouldn't have been more than 6 to 8 round fighters. They would have got picked off. They would have been fighting at least 10 times in a year. You don't have what you're having now. That didn't happen. You got in there, you fought all over the place. And you're going to meet up with these guys, Joe Maselli. Now, Joe Maselli is very popular. I'll give you an example. You may not know who he is, but he's very popular then, the way a lot of the fighters are popular today. And if they were fighting at this time, you may not know who they were. Doesn't mean they were not good fighters. It was just so many fighters, so many places to train, so many places to fight. And you were fighting, you had cards every single day. This is what it was. So thanks for watching. Shout out to my brother, Kurt Sugar Anderson. Rest in peace, brother. Kurt and I used to talk about a lot of names. A lot of names. And I turned him on to a lot of names, guys I met and told him stories about things that happened, in general, in the restaurant. A fight broke out between, I remember Charlie Doc Williams. I can tell you stories about him. I can tell you stories about when Ray Robinson met Charlie Burley in a restaurant. Charlie Burley was supposed to be signing a contract. I'm sorry, not Charlie Burley. Ray Robinson met Charlie Burley in a restaurant. Ray Robinson went to face Fritzy Zivic, and he met him in a restaurant. And Charlie Burley walked in with his manager. And I'm not going to go any further of what actually happened. I got stories for days. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.